grab my titty. Sorry, we're sidetracked. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you look like a. Hold on.
In the meantime, don't be mean. A cigarette I'm smoking? Oh, you talking about the way I hit it? It was a cigarette. That's what addiction does to you. Yeah. Addiction make you do addiction shit like that. Hit the cigarette like it's a roach.
We were talking about childhood trauma, and then we were talking about what it takes to be successful. And
So we were at the point with,
how success is defined differently. And if you were to die tomorrow, depending on what your ambitions were, maybe you wouldn't be happy. As in, if you're over ambitious, maybe there's so much in life that you want to do that you'll never be happy when you die. That's what we're talking about.
so I think what ends up happening is for most people, because because you have to have, so something about my personality is I have an aggressive personality because I am a aggressive person and I live life very aggressively. Um, I tell I tell young people, well, when I'm talking to them, I tell them you gotta live life intentionally, and a lot of people are living a life with really no intention. So they never really define what happiness means to them. So I use that. I talk to people, and again, me and my buddy, we were talking about it. The other day, I hear people say all the time. You know what I mean? I remember back then, I was my happiest. But the truth is that most people are only happy with what they don't have back then. That was because, they weren't happy back then. They just wanted something else. So then they achieve what they want. And then they're like, I'm not happy now. I was happier then. You weren't happy then. You've never truly been happy. The only time you get moments of happy is when you get a new job anymore. You buy a new car. and it's new for so most people never learn the art of one first defining happiness as what it means for you. And then people take contentment and they use contentment like it's a bad word. Oh, you fucking content. There's nothing wrong with being content. There's nothing wrong with being complacent. When you get to a point where you've reached some of the things that you want and you're present of mind enough to know that I am where I want to be. When I look back and I look around and I can see what I have and I can see what I've amassed and I can see what I've done, I can see where I've came from to where I am, I'm good. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with being complacent. And I think people just never really define their happiness. Their happiness is always based on what I don't have and what I wish to get. Then you get it, or what I used to have that I didn't appreciate at that time. You know what I mean? So, I ain't gonna rant too long, but you take the guy who, like you said, does back-breaking brick work and all of that stuff, because he didn't want to do back-breaking brick work and all of that shit. So now he's in the office where he's ordering parts and he's doing all of that good shit. And he's like, oh my God, this is so fucking boring. I'm not moving. I just sit behind a computer all day long. I was so happy when I was doing back-breaking brickwork. No, the fuck you weren't, because your back hurt every night you went home. You couldn't even fuck your wife. You know what I mean? You weren't happy then. You know what I mean? And so now you want it, and now you're not happy now, and you wish you could go back. Or you want to go forward. Like people never take, it's the old saying where they say, you gotta stop and smell the roses. You know what I mean? There's, people never stop and just say, you know what I mean? And I'm really good at just stopping and saying, man, look what the fuck I've done. Look what I did. Let me pat myself on the back. Let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy what I've amassed. Let me sit back. You used to work at Subway and all of that shit. You know what I mean? And here you are.
I don't even think twice about that though. That's just
yeah. But I mean, but here you are now, and you're happy for a moment, and then that moment passes, and then it's okay. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?
Because the thing is, ultimately, I sort of want that to be the driving force of my life. Because in your regard, yeah, it makes sense. If you think you're at or near the pinnacle and you're happy about it, then that's totally fine. But I'm saying, from my course, if I don't have something new every 2 years, it sets off the alarm. It's the internal trigger of, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing compared to my peers? Because everybody says, only compare yourself to yourself. But if I'm not shit, then I'm not shit now. I'm not shit then. I'm not shit never. And then what's the point? You know what I mean? Because you can compare yourself to yourself all you want, but you really don't know a feel for, where you should be. And how you determine that obviously is different based on each person. But I'm saying, I think, yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't complacent. And I would say I'm one of those people. And yeah, I mean, you could look at it as a negative, but I don't think I'm at that part in my life where I'm thinking, wow, how come I don't just settle down? Wow, how come I don't, whatever it is? Because
I was gonna say, yeah, you got the luxury of being.
Yeah, I don't have a family. I don't own property. I mean, do I like my job? Probably not, but it'll probably pay me. So I'm saying, ultimately, I think it depends on where you're at in your life that determines, when you should be complacent and when you shouldn't.
I agree. And so, you have the luxury of, being 25, right?
24.
So, yeah. My bad. So, you have the luxury of, being 24. But the thing is that most uncomplacent people
aren't 24.
Well, not only that, they started off at 24 at some point. You know what I mean? And then they were 25, 26, 27, da 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 da. And no matter how how driven they've been, and no matter how many pinnacles they've hit and how many goals that it's never enough. And not saying that it ever has to be enough, but when do you stop and just be like, you know what? I did a good damn job. And I think it may be my my thought process on it may be so different because, you know, not to say, you know, I don't know your whole childhood and all that stuff, but where I came from so little, you know what I mean? Where I came from, you know, living with my mom, and you know, we're going to, you know, single parent. You know, this is back to, you know, our childhood. So circle it back. You know, single parent of, you know, 4 children. We're sleeping in vans, and we're sleeping in churches, and we're sleeping at, you know, homeless shelters and all of that shit. You know what I mean? At 12 years old, and you know, I'm failing school just because I can't go to school. You know what I mean? So coming from, I think your starting point definitely makes a difference too. So coming from so little, you know what I mean? When you tell me you can make $50,000 a year,
That's pretty good.
I can make that money. What are you talking about? $50,000 a year? Shit, give me that and give me nothing else. You know, I don't need shit after that. You know what the fuck are you talking about? But then when you say, well, hell, you can do 60, you kidding me? 70, 80, 90, 1,000? You know,
So in the same rate though, shouldn't you therefore not be complacent? As in, maybe you appreciate what you have now, but ultimately, what is the end goal? I'm saying if you've reached a level where you think, you know, your life is as comfortable as you want it to be and anything else is just gravy, you know, whatever else on top is fine, then that makes sense. But I'm saying there will always be people who don't feel like they've self actualized or that they've hit their major goals until something crazy happens.
well, I hope they don't die young. That's all I say. So where you go? What you think, B? First B. Second B is here. So bear in mind, just a disclaimer that the S Soprel of the BNS. I'm 37, you know, going on my 38th year. And Brandon, I believe you are 36, going on your 37th year, correct?
If you make
Okay. Brian.
it. No, but in the same rate, I mean, I don't think that'll ever change. So I mean, my main reason for not wanting kids is, I mean, I never, I mean, not to say anything negative, but I mean, I never really did shit as a kid. You know, I never had hobbies. I never traveled anywhere. I never visited my friends because I didn't have a car. And then, you know, when I got a car, I had a job, and then I had to pay for, you know, everything. So ultimately, the thing is, like, I'm sort of trying to make up for lost time in a way, in that, you know, people have these experiences throughout the duration of their life, and I really haven't. So that's ultimately why. I mean, think about it. The second you have a kid, your life is contingent on you taking care of that kid. You know, if you want to be a good parent, like, do you have a house? Can you provide for them? I'm saying if you are aware of the fact that you have a kid, I think that's the case. Obviously, there are people who be neglectful and just say, "Oh, who gives a
Fuck them
shit? I'm gonna
kids.
do whatever the fuck I want." But that's not the essence of it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna have a kid, it's a commitment that hopefully you should make, you know, without having indecision. So in my mind, you know, I don't want the kid. I don't want. No, because the thing is, I think a lot of people have kids for the legacy, right? I think that's probably the most common thing you'll ever hear is, "Oh, I love genetics. I want to continue my genetics. I've done X with Y, and I produce Z, and now I want them to perpetuate whatever I've achieved in order to provide some whatever." I mean, ultimately, having kids is a totally selfish act. We choose to have children. Children don't choose to be born. You know what I'm saying? There's no character select. There's no menu. They're not like, oh, I want this, and that attribute. No, they just fucking appear. And that's how it works. So, in my mind, if I don't want a kid, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't see the
There's
character
that.
unlock screen, but I'm just saying,
RPG, baby.
yeah. I'm saying, like, if I don't want a kid, then I sure as hell don't want a kid to have me as a parent. And that's ultimately, people will always say, people ultimately say, well, how can you be so sure? How can you know? It's more so the argument of like, if I don't feel passionate about having a child, then I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? And it's always like the number one comment I always get, well, you'll change your mind. Well, you'll do this. Well, you'll do that. How do you know? You know what I'm saying? People have kids who don't want.
I started my kid journey on accident. I didn't put one on, and then one thing led to another, and boom, I got a daughter. Because one big portion in me having my children is that I want to continue on my legacy. I remember I read something, and the guy said, I'm sorry I cannot quote the author. If anybody can, I greatly appreciate it. But I said, we all die two deaths. There's our first physical death, when we actually die and they bury us in the ground, and then our secondary death is when we die and nobody ever mentions our name again. So if you have no children, the likelihood of your name going on, or if you haven't done anything great, or if you haven't you haven't changed the world, you haven't done anything, like it's gonna be Brian who Brian, and then he's gone. You know what I mean? Like the people who remember you and know you, when you're gone, you're gone. That's it. Where me, I feel like if I can pass on things to my children, if I can create a legacy that they hold on to, then they'll always say, we remember, great 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 granddad, Suprel created this, or he said this, or he did this, and they continue my legacy going on. And I feel like that, I have something good to give to the world, but the only way I can continually give it is giving to my children and letting them make more of themselves and continuing that on. And the more you have, the more likelihood that that is to happen. You know what I mean?
So even if they don't do that, though, does that still matter to you? I'm saying, as if you have the kid with the intention that one day hopefully you will be remembered for whatever you did, and hopefully it'll be positive, right? I'm saying, even if they don't do that, is it still worth it?
Well, yeah, because the first time coming over my house,
Yeah.
I come home, my kids are running, hey dad, hey dad, hey dad, hey dad, hey dad. I got a little baby who's 4 months old. When he sees me, his eyes light up and his arms go up like this, and he doesn't want anybody but dad. Mom is saying, oh, he's had a rough day, he's cried all day long, and he gets with dad, and he sits up, he pokes his chest out, and he looks down on everybody else, and he like, fuck y'all, I made it, dad got me right now, ain't shit nobody can say. And he's happy. So I mean, it's still selfish because again, like you said, they didn't choose to be here, but they bring so much enrichment to my life, which again is selfish, but it comes at a cost, because there's things that I got to do. I got to continually invest in them if I want to get an output. It's no different than a job or anything else. You know what I mean? So I understand that. You know, but I don't think necessarily you're not. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
I mean, I can't say I know because if I did, I would pursue that, right? I'm just trying to do different things that I haven't done before in order to figure that out, right? I mean, how do you know what kind of food you like to eat? How do you know what you like to do in your free time? I mean, maybe you stare into the TV for 12 hours on a Saturday and you realize maybe binging Netflix isn't your path for the weekend. So, I mean, I honestly don't know, um, what would be fulfilling, but in the same rate, I don't know, as I've said before, if I've ever been happy. You know what I mean? Because I mean, there's so much more to experience, and obviously, quarantine lockdown and everything else hasn't helped that. But I'm saying ultimately, there's no way in saying that I'm actually happy or if I've just been progressively less sad. Because I think in a way, you you can do things that better yourself, but ultimately you don't have to be where you're at. You just know that you're headed in the right direction. That's how it was when I was losing weight. I mean, shit, maybe I lost 20 pounds and I look better, but ultimately I was still fat. You know what I mean? So it's like there's no one way to know, I feel, as if you're happy or not. And I think it mostly comes with experience. So if I don't have as many experiences, how would I know? I mean, think about it. I could move to South Carolina, I could move here, I could move there. How do I know if I'm ever gonna be happy? Go ahead.
Can I take this one, Brandon, or you want it? I'll let you have it first. So my issue is if you can't tell if you are happy or progressively less sad, one, that's pessimistic as fuck. First of all,
It's realistic because you would
no, no,
assume
no,
that
no, 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 no,
is
no, no, no,
is
no, no,
life inherently negative. Think
no,
about
no,
from your
no,
perspective.
no. That's pessimistic as fuck.
From your perspective.
Second,
From your
no,
experience.
that's what I'm saying. That's pessimistic as fuck. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
So, and second of all, that means that you have not defined what happiness means to you because it's clear. It's clear at that point. So, am I progressively getting towards my goal? It's like any other goal. Here's what makes me happy. Am I progressively getting towards there? So, yes, obviously, I'm getting less sad because I'm getting more happy because I'm going towards my goal. So, whatever that goal is
right,
for
but
you.
that doesn't ultimately mean you're happy. You just spin it a different way. That's
No,
totally
no, no, no,
fine.
no, no.
You can say I become increasingly more happy, or you
No,
can
no,
say
I'm not saying that. If happiness is for you, hold on. If happiness is for you, I make $140,000. If you're starting at 50, if you make 70, you are getting progressively more happy and less sad because you've defined what happiness means for you. It's no different than if we put a chart up here and say, my happiness is at $140,000. That's what it is. So when I get to $100,000, I'm more happy and less sad because I defined my goal.
No, because happiness is an abstraction. As in, if you're making 70K, maybe you're working on Saturdays now. Maybe you're that. If you're making 70K, you would say that you're doing 70K of work.
But again, that's where you come in undefined. You have not defined your happiness. So I tell people when you're setting goals, right? So I remember one of my goals is, and one of my top number one goal is to always spend more time with my family. That's important to me. Happiness is defined by me by how much time I can spend with my family. So I want to make more money, but I do not want to sacrifice time with my family. So the job came to me and said, I'm making $50,000 at the time. The job came to me and said, and you know this to be true. The job came to me and said, we'll give you $75,000. Now, mind you, at this point, my wife is not working. She still ain't working. She need to get a fucking job. But this is so that she is going through school. We are just about done, so she'll be working soon. So I can only say this for so much longer. So I love you, baby. But Um, she's not working at the time. I'm making $50,000. She just quit her job where she was making $40,000. So he's making $90,000 together. She quit her fucking job. We making $50,000 all based on my back. My job comes to me and say, we'll give you $75,000 if you be a supervisor. I said, well, shit, a supervisor. Y'all motherfuckers work Saturdays and y'all do all this other kind of shit. Mm-hmm. That's not my ultimate goal. Yeah, okay, so I make more money. Of course, I want to make more money, but it takes away from my ultimate goal. So my choice was my answer was clear. I didn't even have to think about it. My answer was clear. They come to me, I said no. Well, why not? Well, I said because I can't tell my son that he's the most important thing in the world to me, but son, I can't go to your soccer game on Saturday because I gotta work. Because I gotta make 75. Man, fuck that. I don't give a fuck about that. I told him no. No. It was easy. I didn't even have to think about it because my goal for what I want is clear.
Right, but you already have defined things in your life which you care about.
But those things didn't define me. I defined them. I could still just as well with having a family and children and all of that shit. I could still just as well say, you know what?
Fuck them.
Fuck them. Money is the most important thing to me. So when a job come to me and say, we'll give you $75,000, but that means you're going to have to work every Saturday in hell, we might call you on Sunday. You never know. And I could say, well, shit, $75,000 and I'm only making 50. That's a $25,000 jump. I'm finna be in that money. So I said that to say you have not clearly defined what happiness means for you. Because when you have, it's no longer a choice. It's no longer, it's not a battle within yourself because you know it's clear. This either takes me closer to my goal or it takes me further away. If something takes you closer to your goal, then it's easy. Yes. If something takes you further away from your goal, then it's easy. No. Even if what's on the other end of the spectrum sounds really good. $75,000 when you're making $50,000 a year and your wife just quit a job and you don't know how you're going to pay your bills sound real fucking good. But it don't sound good when it takes away from my goal. And that's how I've been able to, in my opinion, amass success in my life because what I want, I make and I live life, I live aggressively. You know what I mean? I know what I want. And then I ended up getting more money, a better job, and I have way more time with my family. I define my schedule. We make our schedules.
Right.
So
but at the same rate, then why am I willing to give mine up?
Give what up?
My schedule. Think about it. I could easily just work the same job, remote, and do whatever. So why not?
But you're changing the discussion. The discussion was. Thank you.
So that's what I mean. So I'm saying if I never define my goals, then why does it matter what I'm willing to sacrifice?
It doesn't. I don't care. If you
also don't care, then what? Then how does it go? I'm saying if you don't know exactly what you want, then how could you define exactly what you want?
That was your original question.
I'm saying what people want that makes them happy is abstract. I'm saying in your scenario, yeah, it's very straightforward. You have a family, you want to spend time with your family, you want to spend time with your kids. But in my perspective, if I don't want kids and I don't want a family and I move every year, then my goal is abstract. You could say, well, what the fuck why do I exist? I just poof, disappear. And then what would happen?
So go ahead, B.
Yeah, but I know what I enjoy. And the thing is, what I've never been able to enjoy because I don't have money. I enjoy traveling. You know, I enjoy hiking. I enjoy riding my bike. But you know what? Without money, how do I travel to where I want to go?
So
How do I live wherever I want and still be able to be with my friends?
so so to me, if I embody your goals or your wants, my goal is I want to be able to travel, or I want to be able to do this, I want to be able to do that, and the third. If my goal is based on I want to be able to do these things, then it's easy. If something brings me closer to those goals, I say yes. If something takes me further away from them goals, I say no. And if that goal encompasses money, then that's where people don't want to do dumb shit, right? I do dumb shit, right? Like people, they teach us stuff in school that we view as dumb shit. You know what I mean? So we like, fuck it, I learned that in school. I don't have to do this. It's dumb shit. You know what I mean? But the simple pros and cons list where you sit down and you make a pros and cons list. You say, here's my goal, here's what I want. I'm gonna make a pros and cons list about what I'm being offered, about what is being asked of me. And if the pros outweigh the cons, then the answer is yes. If the cons outweigh the pros, then the answer is no. I mean, a lot of times things are just that simple. You know what I mean? But people want to make them more complicated than what they are, because if we live a complicated life, then we feel more important. You know what I mean? We almost feel fulfilled just by being complicated.
Yeah, and then people find it interesting. I could easily tell you what I enjoy, and I could easily tell you what I don't enjoy, but I'm not saying that ultimately what I enjoy will make me feel fulfilled for the rest of my life, and that's something I should pursue.
But
So here's a sidestep. Brandon, what are your thoughts then? I mean, what are your clear goals, and what do you want to accomplish? You know?
on YouTube.
They're just like, it's either like, shit, what happened? Is Mike on mute, or like, damn, you guys look like a fucking animation stick figure? What I think about you though?
Hey, we lost you for a minute, Brandon.
About to have to go into the sunroom.
Now I think we went offline there for a second.
So what I was saying is, I think the question was, what? How do you know that you're getting closer towards your goals, and what have you defined as, what makes you happy?